Hey everybody, just a quick note. I forgot to mention our sponsor at Flipside Gaming during this video, so don't forget to check out flipsidegaming.com. Use the code CCMTG at checkout, all capitalized, all one word, CCMTG. Let them know that we sent you. They'll shoot me a kickback. It's really helpful for me. Check them out, flipsidegaming.com. And yeah, we really appreciate it. Don't forget to shout out our other sponsor at puremtg.com, the exclusive place where we post this show. Everything is really helpful when you let these people know that I sent you. It gives me a little bit of kickback. It really helps me out, and they make it possible for me to do these kind of shows. So thank you so much, and enjoy this week's Wednesday Night Warrior. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday Night Warrior. I'm Spencer, host of Constructive Criticism and Limited Time Only, two podcasts about getting better at Magic the Gathering. Today is exciting. I'm back and ready to attack. I missed last week. Didn't do most of my content last week. You know, sometimes you just need to take a break from stuff. Life can get in the way. Life can get tough. And it's important to kind of just take time to be yourself. Doing as much Magic content as I do can be really difficult. And I hope that, if you're out there and you feel overwhelmed with Magic the Gathering, that you can just take a step back and do the things that you need to do. Because it's really important to keep yourself and in tip-top shape, I guess you could say. Not physically, but at least mentally. Physically is good too, though. Anyway, I'm happy to be back. I'm really excited to talk about a topic that's kind of been going around on Twitter. One of my favorite podcasts mentioned it this week, and I just kind of want to give just my thoughts behind it, and give a little bit of context to it. So before we get to the topic itself, I want to just mention, who I do these videos for. So first of all, puremtg.com. I post these videos there every week. Please never hesitate to go there. Check out their other content. They're brought to you by MTGO Traders, where how I play all my Magic Online is basically through these videos, Wednesday Night Warrior. So thank you so much to them. You make it possible for me to play Magic Online, and I really appreciate it. You can also support this content directly by going to Heezy Game Media on Patreon, or patreon.com/ccmtg. Either one of them. Supporting either of those really helps me out, helps the shows out, and it means the world to me when those things can happen. So let's go into what our topic is this week. You probably saw the video title, and that's banning Attune with Aether. This has become a pretty popular opinion on social media and in some Magic groups. And I want to talk about banning Attune with Aether, because when I heard that, I found it really interesting. I think we're going a little far. But before I get into my opinion, I just want to break down the topic. So one of the first things that I saw that started this conversation, I think I saw from Alan Antrazi, was a picture of an Attune with Aether that was it was kind of changed. So it was 1 green. Search your library for a basic land and one of these modes, and it was like, give your creature a +1/+1 counter, make a 1/1 Thopter, draw a card, lose a life, give your creature hexproof, and it just was a list of things that you could do with energy. Deal 2 damage or something. There was a ton of things that it listed. And it was funny. It was a funny little thing. You're like, haha, it's funny because those are the things that you can trade your energy in for. And it's really interesting that people have gotten sick of this, because there have been so many different flavors of energy decks, right? Whether it's Marvel decks, whether it's mostly Marvel decks, let's be honest, and now this mid-range deck, people are kind of sick of it. They don't enjoy playing against energy anymore. And it's not because energy is inherently broken, it's just because they've played against a lot of energy variants. So I want to start with where we're at in the format, right? So we have the smallest standard we're going to have is for the rest of the time energies in standard. And people have played against a lot of energy decks. In fact, the best 2 decks of last year are probably Temur Energy, after bannings, of course, are probably Temur Energy and Remnant Red. And the best 2 decks right now are Temur Energy and Remnant Red. And that is because Magic the Gathering has siloed its mechanics into a single set, right, or single block, right? So most of the cards in the energy decks are from Kaladesh block. Most of the cards in Remnant Red are in well, to be honest, I think most of them are from Hour of Devastation block. So when you have this happen, decks stay in standard longer. They usually don't happen this way, right? When you look at zombies, you have cards coming in and out for multiple sets that come to build one awesome deck. And when you have a new set, like we did with Ixalan, where it's a tribal set and there's not preset tribal synergies that include power for this deck or that deck, it's hard for those cards to compete with the cards that are already in standard because their blocks are completed and Ixalan's block is not. And so we are in a point where 50% of the field is going to be energy decks. Now, I don't really like that because I think that the difference between Sultai Red, mid-range, Sultai Snake, and Temur Energy, they are all very different archetypes. So I really don't like that people like to include them all together. And I really don't like that they call 4-color energy both Sultai Red and Temur Black, because those are very, very different decks. I mean, one of them's a Gonti deck with Vraska's Contempt, and one of them's a Harness Lightning, a Braid, Chandra deck. So they're very different decks. But the thing that they all have in common is Attune with Aether, which is why people are saying if this percentage of decks is Attune with Aether, just ban Attune with Aether. The problem with that is, I think that the format actually wouldn't be that good without Attune with Aether. Attune with Aether has enabled 3-color strategies and 4-color strategies that just wouldn't be possible if it weren't for that card. And when you look at cards banned through history, right, these cards are oppressive cards. These cards are things that really did hurt the standard metagame and the diversity of it. So when you look at things like, we'll just say Marvel, for instance, it was unfun to play against. Now, Marvel, just like the other energy cards, I don't actually think it's too good. I think that people just got sick of it. Marvel, I think it was okay to ban, because the games weren't interesting. Whereas with Attune with Aether decks, the games are actually very interesting. When you look at something like Emrakul, that card was super powerful, and it eliminated a huge part of the strategies of the metagame. Now, I don't think that Emrakul should have been banned. I think that Marvel should have been banned, and you could keep Emrakul decks in. Now, one card that did get banned that I actually really agreed with was actually Reflector Mage. Reflector Mage was super unfun to play against and really eliminated the certain ways that you could play Magic. It's not a fun way to play Magic. When you look at Jace the Mind Sculptor and Stoneforge Mystic, these cards were so powerful that they shut the rest of the format down. I think that it's really easy to get caught up in the fact that we had so many bannings, right? We had a triple banning in the form of, Reflector Mage, Smuggler's Copter, and Emrakul, and then we banned Marvel, and we banned Saheeli combo, right? So, we banned a ton of decks in the last year or so. And so because of that, you're just assuming that something else is going to get banned if you're a new Magic player. And honestly, through the history of Standard, not very many cards get banned. And there's a reason for that, because honestly, they don't need to get banned. Like right now, Standard's pretty diverse. 11 decks made at least $1,000 at the last GP. 11 different types of decks. That's a lot of money for, and a lot of decks that you can win $1,000 playing 11 different decks. When you look at something like Green-White Token Standard, you should have just been playing Green-White Tokens. There actually wasn't another deck that was remotely viable. And nothing in that standard got banned. We put up with it, and we put up with it. And I think the reason for that is the type of games that people really enjoyed playing with Green-White Tokens. I personally didn't, right? I actually have only ever called for the banning of one standard card in my memory, and it's actually Dromoka's Command. Where Dromoka's Command was a really unfun Magic card. It eliminated strategies. The play versus the draw was very unfun, depending on what you were playing and how that shaped up. And I can see the fact that Long Toss Cub plus Attune with Aether kind of feels like Dromoka's Command. However, I think that between Fatal Push and Harness Lightning, they've given us at least decent answers at this point to Long Tusk Cub. Long Tusk Cub is the other card that people are talking about getting banned. They say it's basically Tarmogoyf. I would probably never say we need to ban Tarmogoyf. I think that too often what happens is we think that because something is good, something needs to change. Well, the truth is that if you are a deck brewer, it's actually better for you to have one or two very good decks. Right now, it's Ramen Red and Teamer Energy. And the thing is that these decks don't actually attack you in a different enough way for you not to be able to brew against them. You know, when you think about something like this tokens deck that was really popular a few weeks ago, that deck was quite good against these two decks, and its entire existence happens because these are the two decks, right? Once something like Jeskai Approach becomes good, the deck becomes a lot worse, and you only get those type of really cool strategies and synergy decks to come together when the format is siloed in on a couple of good decks. Now, if there's just one good deck and nothing else is viable, that's when it becomes a problem. But I think that the energy decks are different enough that there's a lot of ground to be gained by trying to brew. There's an old podcast, I think it's actually coming back, called YoMTG Taps. And they used to have a phrase that they used on the show, and a little bit of a cuss warning right here, so plug your ears if you don't want to hear swearing. But they used to say, stop bitching, start brewing. And it was like the motto of their podcast. And I really do think that we've lost that culture in Magic because of the recent bannings. And I really think that Modern created this culture that made people think... Modern bannings made people think that things needed to become banned to make a format better. And while Modern is in a very good place right now, the bannings are actually what created those multiple times where Modern was on fun. Because they just kept nerfing and nerfing and nerfing and nerfing and nerfing. And, a lot of people... While Modern is the most popular format, hands down, and it is very fun right now and in a very good place, that is not the culture that we should want for Standard. Because Standard already has that natural progression, right? Every so often, things rotate. A rotating format already has the things in place you need instead of bannings. Now, when something gets out of hand, like Cawblade, yeah, go ahead, ban something. If Affinity happens, go ahead, ban something. Those are the moments when it's appropriate to ban. You could say, but Spencer, half the decks are Attune with Aether decks, and it's like, yeah, but they're 4 different decks. And then you have, 6 other decks that you can still play. And win $1,000 and qualify for the Pro Tour with. It's not like you're just wrong for not showing up with Teamer at this point. Teamer's very good. The players who played have been playing it for a long time, so it feels a little different. But it's certainly not to the point where we need to ban things. And that's just my opinion. So I hope that we can create a culture of innovation and of trying to improve and trying to figure out what's best this week and execute on it, rather than a culture of, well, I can't beat this, so it should get banned. Because that's not fun. And also, what's really important is that the games are fun and interactive. And Teamer Energy and all of these energy variants do create very fun interactive games. The only exception to that is probably Long Tusk Cub, if you don't have an answer. But they have provided us with at least some good answers for that card. So that's my opinion. That's where I'm at with this. You can find me on Twitter at Spencer13H. You can find me on Facebook at Spencer Stephen Howland. You can enjoy these kind of conversations in the Constructive Criticism family on Facebook. We have tons of people there trying to improve at Magic the Gathering who would love to speak with you. I'd be happy to speak with you. Join that group. We'd be happy to have you there. You can go to patreon.com/ccmtg or search for Heezy Game Media on Patreon. You can sub and like here on this YouTube channel. It's greatly appreciated. It really helps out the channel. It means a lot to me. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I know that there's a lot of people who are passionate about this right now. They do think Attune with Aether or Long Tusk Cub should get banned, and I wanted to talk about it because I don't. I think that the format's really fun right now. So don't forget to check out our sponsor at puremtgo.com and their sponsor at MGO Traders. These guys make it so I can play Magic Online. Let them know that I sent you. And thank you everybody for watching this week. Sorry I missed last week. It was really fun to talk about this. It felt really good. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you guys all next week with another Wednesday Night Warrior.